My topic is exercise from an occupational therapist perspective. When I'm in the hospital, when I work with patients, I noticed that most of the patients that came in are more or less kind of limited in any kind of physical activity. Mostly I noticed that they are better in their lower extremity, but nothing on the upper body. So their upper body is very weak, and so when they have to use a walker or a cane, they don't have arm strength to help support them up. So with occupational therapy, the benefits of exercises or in the occupational therapy point of view is that it increases your strength and your muscle endurance. So it helps with your balance and your coordination. The muscles in your spine, your pelvis, your hip, and your shoulders all help improve your balance and your proprioceptive awareness and your stabilization. If you don't have those muscles, if those muscles don't really work, you can't really sit up very well. So when you sit up, you fall over. You have no trunk support. So basically, all the strength and muscle endurance is what we look at when we're working with patients. If I do talk fast and you don't understand me, please let me know. And then the increases of bone density, so it prevents the bone loss, and it also helps with minimizing osteoporosis. Also, exercise also increases your flexibility and the speed of movement and reaction time. With the speed, flexibility and the speed of movement and reaction time, it helps prevent falls. And if you exercise, your reaction is better. So when you trip or when you ever trip or anything, you ever catch yourself better than when you don't exercise. And then the population in the older population is the biggest injury are falls. Okay. And then it's also posture. It helps strengthen your back. You minimize back injury. Metabolism decreases. It helps you with weight loss and burns calories. Oxygen repairs body tissues. When you exercise, you not only breathing the air into your lungs. The oxygen goes into all parts of your body, from your head down to your toes. So with your brain, it helps with the mental performance, the clarity of thinking. In your lungs, it improves the efficiency of your lung capacity in breathing. And then for the skin and your muscles, it makes the skin firm and toned. Who wants that? Who doesn't want a nice firm muscles, right? And also exercise also increases and improves one's self-esteem. It also it helps with your sense of wellness and also increase your social skills. If you exercise, you meet more people, and more people, you can invite people to any gatherings or your home or anything, and this is how you get to know other people in the community. And also some of the benefits of exercise, it helps decrease your heart rate and your blood pressure. Your heart becomes stronger, and then you have more efficiency in doing things. You will fatigue very easily, and you are able to do more tasks longer. It helps lower your blood pressure to normal. Also, exercise. The benefits of exercise decreases the stress. It decreases depression and tension, and it helps relaxation. I think the most important about exercise is, as we get older, you will see that there's edema on your feet. So when you exercise, it helps reduce the edema on your feet because it helps pumping the fluid out of your feet into your heart and pumps it out. Okay. Aerobics. Aerobic exercise means we are working on endurance training, working on building more strength, getting more oxygen in your lungs, working on the big muscles, and that will help with it will help with standing balance. It will help you when you're in space, how you stand. You know, some people when they stand, they're already tilting or backwards or going forwards. So with the aerobic exercise, it helps with your body, all your big joints. The lack of aerobic exercise will decrease your endurance. So simple things like taking a shower is too much to work. cooking your meals is too much to work because you don't have the endurance. So with aerobic exercises, you build your endurance. And by building endurance, you can be more independent in your self-care and so those are the exercises, walking, running, climbing, swimming, bicycling, chores. Vacuuming is another good form of exercises. Mowing your lawn is another good form of exercises. Hoeing, all these other home activities are also good form of exercises that you can even include in your aerobic programs. Okay, next. Strength training. I'm talking about older population because the people I work with. So in the older population, muscle atrophy or muscle weakness is largely due to inactivity because they don't do much thing. The reason why they don't do much is because of the fear of falling. So they minimize being active. But if you're not active, then you don't have strength. And so when you don't have strength, it's a vicious cycle. And then you get sick and you come to the hospital. So with the inactivity, it also increases your illness, like COPD, people with a breathing problem. When you don't exercise, you don't learn how to do the proper breathing. And so because of that, any tiny little thing, even going to the bathroom, can be a little bit harder for a person to go to the bathroom because it takes so much energy. So if you do a little bit of exercise, it will help build you up, build your endurance up, then you can get a little bit more. If you have no strength, you have no energy, you cannot take care of yourself. So basically, you want to work on strengthening exercises. And some strengthening exercises, I have is weights, doing dumbbells, some strengthening, work on muscles, to strengthen muscles, individual muscle groups. TheraBand, you can use TheraBand. This is a nice exercises, but I do see people when they do exercises, how they do exercise. They stop the exercise because this is what you do is causing injury to your body. So when you do exercise, you want to do control, slow movement. Because you're making the muscle work. If you're going like this, you might as well don't do it. You use too much energy. Okay, so you do slow control movements. And then there's the bands, so they have the tubings that you can do too. And each of these things you can buy these in the sports stores. And different colors represent the intensity of the restrictions of the band. And look, we don't want to only think about only the big bodies, the big joints. We want to think about fingers too. So grip strengthening is another exercise because of prehension. If you don't have good prehension, you can button your clothes. You can do little fine motor coordination. You can't even write or things like that. So working on grip strengthening is another thing. Another exercise that we teach people with poor fine motor coordination is picking beans out. You put beans, popcorn, and everything, sort them out. And there's one way of doing fine motor coordination. And so those are some of the strengthening exercises that you can see. Free weights, exercise bands, weight bearing exercise, circuit machines. And I want to thank my daughter Jasmine who was helping me with all these PowerPoint pictures and layout and setup. So thank you, Jasmine. So the next one we're going to talk about is flexibility. So flexibility is the joints. It prevents the ability to bend over or cross your legs to put your socks on, or even to reach back to put your bra on, or to zip up your blouse or your dress. And lack of flexibility also prevents you from bringing your shirt over your head. So you don't have those flexibility of your joints to do all this stuff. So I had patients who could even go around there, and then they could even put their shirt over their head because their joints are limited. So by working on flexibility, you get your joints are mobile. So I always tell people, and the hospital says, do your exercise in bed, conduct the orchestra. Conduct the orchestra, you're moving range of motion. When you do that, you're also working on your breathing too, because when you move, you have to breathe. So, and then if you like more, you can get a bottle of water and then get some weights with it too. So this is some exercises you can do. Stretching is another way of increasing your flexibility too. And Ben is going to mention about stretching here. When we stretch, we do not want to bounce or we don't want to jump around. You want to stretch, you feel the point of tension, and then you hold it stretch for about 10 to 30 seconds. When you jerk like this, you kind of pull your muscles back and forth, and then what happens if you hurt if you have a micro tear your muscles or any tear your muscles, guess what? You can't do anything anymore. Alright, so you might cause more injury to yourself, especially when you're trying to get fit. You don't want to cause injury, but so any exercises that we do, we always, or I teach my patients is to always do slow, controlled movements. Pace makes waste. So when you rush, you don't do the exercise, you get tired, you pull a muscle, and that's the end of everything. You can use your leg. So there is the flexibility exercises. Swimming is one of them, yoga, tai chi. And the cat says, now take a deep breath, deep cleansing breath, and slowly slide your paws straight forward. So that's what we do. You stretch it out, stretch it out. And you can do all these things at home and in your own place. So you can do those things. How long should one exercise? What do you think? How long should one exercise?
30 minutes. Depends on the body.
Well, it depends on the body. Ideally, it's 30 to 60 minutes, 5 to 7 days a week. But if you cannot do the 30 to 60 minutes, you go for 5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes is doing something. It's training the muscles. And go from there, and then progress on as you get better, as you build your endurance, progress on more. Walking. I always tell my patients, if you can't walk the distance, okay, this is what I tell them. The distance you walk will be the distance you come back. If you walk that far, you cannot come back the hospital. Because maybe in the hospital, if I walk to my patient, I say, you walk the distance, make sure you come back because I'm not going to carry you back. So basically, the distance you walk is the distance you come back. So I always tell them, start with your house, go to your neighbor's house. Go here until you feel that you're better and comfortable, you build your endurance, then go to the next neighbor's house. So the distance, you go from there, and then you go from neighbor to neighbor to neighbor until you can go farther down. Get to one block. So if you cannot do one block, go to your neighbor's house and back and forth, back and forth. Okay? So besides also when I think it's the next. Also, you want to choose an activity you enjoy. If you don't enjoy something, more likely you will do it. So you want to find something you enjoy, and sometimes it's nice to have a friend to go and do things together too. Because I think you motivate each other and help each other. Tilly has an exercise group that she does here, and so at least 50 is in the website. And so that's what we're going to do that. And okay, the next one is these are exercises that you can find in different medical conditions like diabetes, the osteoporosis, the arthritis. You go into their website. I have handouts there. You go to their website and you Google search engine and find exercise, and they have information that tell you. They even not only do they tell you about exercises, they also tell you about information about diabetes or arthritis and things like that. If you join the American Arthritis Foundation, you get a magazine, I believe a month to join them if you become membership. And there are very good information there too, and it has some exercise programs there too. So when it comes, Jack Berlin says that when it comes to health, diet is the queen, but exercise is the king. If you can eat. If you don't exercise, then you gain the weight. And when you gain the weight, then it affects your joints. And you can do well. You can walk your joints, knee hurts, and hip hurts, and things like that. So we want to exercise to maintain our weight and to be able to be more active and independent in our daily activity living. With exercise, you could climb the stairs. You could even go for a mile walk, or you can even walk up the hills. You can do fine motor skills with exercise. You can be able to take your own baths. You can even clean your own place. And some of them can even do some little yard work. I always say that before you even start an exercise program, you want to consult with your physician first. Okay, you do not want to just jump in and do something because I don't know if each and everybody's medical situations or conditions. So check with your physician, and the physician says it's fine, go for it. But I always advise you just to start slow. When you start slow, you do better. When you do fast and you do too much, then there's a tendency to not want to do anything. Okay. Thank you.
I have a little help passing out a few. I just have a few handouts here. So if anyone requires more, you can furnish them another time.
Let me just give you a quick introduction to Ben Whitaker. Also, at the end of the presentation, if you have questions, feel free to ask questions. Ben is a member of the Health Adventist Committee. Ben is also a Bible study group leader on Tuesday night. Ben is a physical therapist and also a graduate of Loma Linda University.
It's a large group here, so if anyone thinks about getting up and walking out, I won't be too offended because, I work as a physical therapist and I've been rejected before. Why am I patient so you won't offend me, okay? But there's a lot, I'm really pleased there's a lot more people here than I expected, okay? The comment was made about asking your physician before you begin exercising. I just want to put in another plug about occupational and physical therapy. We do things that generally don't hurt people. It's very low risk. We're not doing surgery, we're not giving medications, and for most people, it's not a problem, the things that we do.
How many pages is your handout? Because they're not stapled.
It's 5 pages.
It's a whole packet. Oh, it's one packet.
It's a lot of material, okay? I'm ready to work from a retired missionary, and he told me, he said, young man, when you give a several-hour talk, it's very minimal preparation. But if you're going to give like a 20-minute talk, that's going to take several days, maybe a week or two. But a 10-minute talk, good luck. I'm already wasting the last time. Okay. Why should you be? My talk is basically the effects of local application of hot and cold on painful muscles. Clinical pearls, things that I've learned in the clinic. My job as a paid physical therapist is I have to do what works. Okay? If you go to the hospital and you see 7 different professionals, I said 5 in there, you're probably going to get 5 different opinions as to what you should do. And that's okay. There's more than one way that you can receive healing. But when you come to me, I take a history and I find out what you've been doing, and maybe it hasn't worked right. So we try to, correct it and make it work better for you. This is what I've learned in the clinic. Now we have a patient over here, Jim. I understand he's got knee pain. I thought he agreed to bring a heating pad, and we'll have him apply that while we're talking, and then later I'll just show you a couple simple things. An example of a simple treatment. Okay, very simple. Most of what we do is very simple, but it takes a lot of knowledge and a lot of skill to carry it out correctly. For example, people will come to me and say, "But I've already tried that." Okay, all these, objections. Okay, I've already done that, but they didn't do it properly. Okay, because it didn't work. Okay? They'll say, "Well, what about Pilates class? What about yoga?" I've had people come to me with serious neck injuries from overstretching in yoga. Okay, serious pain, I'll say that, not serious injury, but a lot of pain, okay, from overstretching. There's no such thing as one treatment works for everyone. Okay, one person might get better with acupuncture, and that same person 2 years later with a very similar condition, it won't work. The way you put the needle in there is so sensitive, okay? Traction. I had a lady come in last week, and she positioned herself on the traction table really high. So the spreader bars, I call them, are really low on her neck. And the key behind traction is you have to get a lot of skin, because that's what pulls on the neck is the skin, okay? Indirectly. Anyway, it worked really good. The treatment was so beautiful. You can see her neck moving, and she had her chin going down, stretching those tight muscles in the back of her head, causing headaches, suboccipital headaches. But every time I do the treatment, it's a little bit different. There's subtle differences. It takes a lot of skill to try to get it just right. Another simple example would be, let's say heat has helped you in the past, and like the back of the shoulder, for example. There's some muscles back there that go really deep. One of them that causes a lot of consternation to my patients goes underneath, it originates underneath your scapula, your wing bone back here, and it comes over here, this way, in the front of your arm. You can't really get to it, it's very difficult. Something like that, for example, I would use nice heat because it seems to have a deeper penetration and relaxes the muscle, whereas ice is just going to aggravate it because you can't get to it. And it's cutting off blood flow, which it's already reducing, which is why it's hurting. Okay? So with experience, I've learned a lot of little things that are helpful in certain patients. Okay? Why would you be interested in hydrotherapy? Well, even though exercise is good for you, some people just don't do it right. Some do it well and some don't do it so well. Some don't like to exercise at all. Okay? So one of the differences, with physical therapy, what we focus on is we study movement. We look, how does the patient move? How does the person move? And if there's inefficiencies or incorrect ways, we work with their coordination, how to move the arm up like this. Okay? Rather than like this. In the back of the car, you grab something you missed. This will cause a rotator cuff strain. Very common, okay? We study movement science, rotation of the shoulder, things like that. Okay, Jim, do you have that heating pad on?
It's heating.
Okay, just tell us briefly what's wrong with your knee. As I forgot, I worked with you a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Just tell us briefly.
Well, about 3 years ago, I twisted it, and I got a cortisone shot afterwards into the knee.
Okay, did the cortisone shot help?
It did help for about a year.
Okay, so there was some swelling, okay? So you think ice right away, we got a heating pad, maybe the swelling's gone away. Is the pain pretty severe right now, or is it?
Well, and I started an exercise program, and where's yours?
Yes.
I overdid it. And so now I'm back in pain.
Okay. So we were to try a little heat today. If it doesn't work, I would think ice, because cortisone helped in the past, maybe some swelling going on. Okay. But normally you take a full history. Okay, which we're not doing now. Another time. Okay? A full history. Look at it real quick. Feel it. Is there any swelling in there? I didn't feel like there's much. Let me see this one. There might be a very minimal amount. When you touch when you're checking a muscle or something, if you use light touch, you can feel a lot more than if you push really hard, okay? So, I can just tell that there's some amount of fluid in here. It's very mild. You might not be able to tell, but I can tell.
Well, here's the difference.
And look at his knee. The knee doesn't go down all the way. So he's got a flexibility deficit. So if I, in experience, if I put heat behind the knee, instead of where he thinks the problem is, I might do better, okay? Because, go ahead and put it on top now. But because see, the body has what you call referred pain. There's these myofascial, these tender points that are mapped out on your body. And let's say you fractured his knee. He would have the same tender points, pretty much. With one addition, where the bone fracture is, okay? It would be local pain, it would be very severe pain. But these tender points on the knee, for example, are the medial hamstring back in here. There's a bursa right here where there's like three tendons attached called the pes anserine bursa. It usually gets real boggy. It's very tender when you poke on it, push on it. The lateral quads, there's usually a jump sign right here, the distal lateral quads. And it's related to, as an example, older people that when they stand up, they're usually pretty weak. And they have difficulty standing, so their knees will come together. And that will pull on that lateral hamstring and strain it and cause what they call a tender point or trigger point. That trigger point refers down to the front of the knee. So treating the location of the pain often doesn't work. You need to understand the concept of referred pain. Like the lateral quad refers into the front of the knee. The middle quad refers to the front of the knee. The medial quad. You know what I'm saying? It's a common theme. Once you figure this out, it's pretty interesting. It kind of works like this because when you're developing in the womb, the Bible says you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Your arms, they grow outward. Okay? So, and your nerves grow outward, right? They grow out. So you have these patterns that are based on the way you developed in the womb. So distal pain, you may feel pain distally or more proximally, depending on how the brain is interpreting it. But you have to assess to find out where the real problem is. Ellen White says we need to reason from cause to effect. So that takes some practice. Okay, how's it feeling? Is it getting hot?
It's getting hot.
Okay, personally, I don't believe that we're trying to bake Jim's knee here, so I don't want it to get really hot. Okay? I actually do not like really hot heat because it's gonna irritate his nerves, make him more sensitive, and it's gonna work against me. My job's hard enough. Okay, I don't need all that. People come with pain, I want to try to get rid of it. I'm going to check it myself to make sure, because maybe he has a high pain tolerance. He doesn't know his body that way. He doesn't listen to it or pay attention. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty warm. Put it on there some more. Okay, we want it to sweat a little bit. Okay.
Okay. Well, I want to get up higher. I'm just on low right now.
Okay. Put it on medium. Don't be bad. Okay. You could look at heat and cold in terms of short treatments or long treatments. Okay. I like short treatments of heat because the heat generally stimulates the nervous system. It relaxes the muscles. It improves blood flow. It raises metabolism. Some of the same things that exercise does. Okay. That Phyllis is showing now.
Short term by what, 5 or 6 minutes?
Well, I can put moist heat, a really hot moist heat pad on your knee, let's say on his knee for like 3 seconds, and it would be perfect. It'll relax it, and I can get in there and massage it, and as it cools off, I can do it again. The shorter the better, I think, for me, because you want to combine heat with something else. Heat doesn't do anything on its own. It's like taking your food, putting it in the oven, and put the timer, you walk off and leave it and forget about it. You come back, it's cooled down again. What's the big deal? You haven't done anything to it, okay? You probably ruined your food, okay? Same thing with your knee. You're going to stimulate the nerve, it cools back down. Now it's worse because you didn't do anything when you had the chance. When that food is hot, that's when you want to eat it. That's when it tastes the best. When you heat the leg there, you want to stretch it at that time. That's when you have the benefit. It's loose, it's relaxed. Then you can really relax it. And the best heat is what? What's the best type of heat? Moist. Okay, what's even better than moist heat? Possibly. Of course it depends. This is just my philosophy, okay? The best heat is exercise. Is the previous talk. That's the best heat because exercise is going to warm up your joints. Now when you exercise, you need to have a warm-up period, about 5 minutes or whatever it takes. You start real slowly. Like when I walk up this one hill, I start real slowly because I have arthritis in both of my knees. I'm an old runner. And I'm progressing from running to mountain biking. And then after that, I'll go to swimming. After that, I'll be in a wheelchair, okay? I hope to delay that as long as possible. Okay, so I'm on the mountain bike and I don't run anymore. Except for a couple weeks ago, I went to the Newbury Park Marathon. It was a marathon, but it felt like a marathon, but it was a 5K. I hadn't run for 10 years. It was tough. It really felt good, though. All right. So brief heat is better than long heat in my opinion. But there are other conditions where longer periods of heat may be preferred, like up to 30 minutes. I have a booklet from that says up to 30 minutes is the maximum time period. And I guess I lost the booklet. Okay.
Well, over there.
So that's what it is, yeah. Have you heard of a thermophore?
Yes.
A thermophore is an example made in Battle Creek of a moist heating pad. It produces its own heat, its own moisture.
It saved my life.
Huh? Did you combine stretching with it?
Yes, warm up and stretch.
Yes. If you combine 2 or more simple multiplication effect, that's why I like lots of oxygen, open air, sunlight, moist heat, stretching, and a good attitude. One of the biggest barriers of my patients in physical therapy is their attitudes. It's very interesting that when people have chronic pain, it changes their mind, changes the way they think. They become negative. They become more opinionated than I am. I have to deal with it every day. I think humor helps. I think humor is good. You have to kind of, tease a little bit. But they got to try something new, or the same thing, but just do it differently.
What about a jacuzzi?
Okay, question comes up. Now, basically, I'll try to answer that question quickly. Those are the best answers, right? Jacuzzi is nice if you want to just feel good, but it's not really that therapeutic. And the reason why is fairly obvious if you think about it. Let's say I have, and yes, Jim has a knee pain. I put his whole body in the jacuzzi. Where's the heat treatment going to go? Everywhere. He's not going to get a local increase of blood nutrients that you may need, right? Because it's going to be just dissipated. Okay? And you want to avoid prolonged, really hot heat because it will lead to fatigue. And it will overstimulate your nerves. And a lot of people have stress. It's not good for you. Okay? Yeah.
They say that their Korean spas, I think they're the Korean spas. And they say if you go in the hot, this is what the football players do, the sports, they go in the whirlpool and then they go to the cold plunge. And because heat dilates your blood vessels and the cold constricts. So there's so much of this, it's like, does something to your blood. It's good for arthritis, they say. It's good for your joints. It's good for blood.
So there's some general tricks.
30 seconds hot.
I just didn't have the time to go over all that, and I appreciate that's a good point. There are some uses for it, okay? I'm just limiting the talk to like local problems. How's that feeling now? Is it getting warmer yet?
It's getting warmer.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look at it. Now, Jim, what's wrong with your knee? You said it won't straighten. Is that the
It won't straighten.
Okay. So I would check the calf muscles back here. I look for the tender point in the calf, which is just below the knee, behind the knee and below it, and poke on it. I don't feel much. It feels pretty muscular. It feels pretty, appropriate. You get any tenderness there?
No,
No problem. I'll check the medial hamstring. Again, really no problem. Not much. Okay. Lateral quad. There's something right there.
okay.
They don't feel it? Push harder. I know what I feel. Okay? They may not know it. A lot of times they'll say, no, that doesn't hurt, but maybe it does. Especially those big guys. They want to feel okay. And they're very common problems. Okay. So, what I might do now, I haven't really evaluated this so much, but there's different things you can do. One exercise I've found really helpful in the clinic, which is take like a towel or a sheet or something, lasso it around his forefoot here. And I actually like to have some support under the knee here, because that way the leg will be able to relax. Whereas opposed if it's stretching real hard, it's hurting, he's going to be guarding it and he won't be able to relax. So I have to relax that muscle, that painful muscle guarding. So I like to put a folded towel under his knee, just enough to allow it to stretch lightly while he takes this towel and pulls this back and forth. See how the knee raises when I do that? That's because the calf is tight back there. This is an overlooked muscle that's real tight. Okay? So I would just kind of do something like this for like 5 minutes or so until it loosens up. Okay? But I'm not checking everything today. I'm just going to show you basically. Stretching. My favorite stretch is really not a conventional stretch. It's movement. Movement causes flexibility much more quickly than regular stretching. Okay? That's why, like what they say, walking is one of the best exercises. Like I was telling you about myself with my arthritic knees. I don't bother to stretch them when I start hiking at the start. I just walk real slow. I limp. I can barely get up. I can barely move. Okay? I just start going up the hill, and gradually my muscles loosen up, and I can start walking normally. At the top of the hill, I might stretch, and I walk down the hill to my car. Okay. All right. Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Are you going to show me exercises to help improve the situation?
Well, I just showed you.
No, I know.
Let's show one more. Let's show one more.
This is what we worked on last week.
Okay, what did we work on? Was that one the quad stretch?
It's basically like a
yeah.
But see how much, I'm not just moving the foot, I'm moving my whole body, right? Yeah. Okay, what do I want to do?
Just like this back and forth. This was one way you can stretch.
But I do it by moving this leg.
Yeah. You want to relax this leg, use the other foot to get the move, create the movement.
And I need some balance.
Yes, you have to hold with this hand on the chair. This is like a hamstring and a calf stretch all in one. And what I want to tell you about tender points again, it's a big problem, these tender points. You don't even know where they all are. Like in the back side of your body, If you have back pain, can you put your finger on it half the time? You don't even know where it is, right? So it's difficult. But
So how long do I want to do this for, and how often?
I would say you can do it up to 5 minutes. Or until you feel you've done enough where it's straight, the knee can go all the way straight.
Well, I haven't got there.
Okay. But I like the way you see he's not doing it ballistically. He's doing it nice and slow, right, with control. That's good. Yeah, I like what she said. Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that really bothers me is when these strong people come in. They say they kind of yell out to me. They say, "Just hurt me." When they get up from the waiting room, sure, I watch them. I try to figure out what kind of people they are. Either it's just hurt me, they're used to causing themselves pain, and they want me to hurt them to heal them, but it's not going to work. That's why they're there. They're overdoing it. You see what I'm saying? And when they stretch, they're going to overstretch. So I have to teach them to do it properly. Because stretching and strengthening are like two different skills. They're like opposites, right? They are. One is relaxing, and the other is really working the muscles. Another type of person is, whatever you do, don't hurt. I'm trusting you. I'm putting my trust in you. You're going to have to earn my trust. I'm not going to do it until you show me that you're not going to hurt me. So I have to spend a lot of time warming those people up, taking care of them and everything, showing them what's wrong and what we got to do. And will they let me please do this? So I can make them feel better. Maybe the more common is just hurt me, but as long as it helps. Okay. And so I have to be careful. You should be careful too when you're working with someone, not to hurt them, indiscriminately or without cause or without need. Okay, don't try not to cause too much pain. People don't like pain. Most people. Chris had an interesting thing. Can I talk about Chris? Okay. Chris had a motor vehicle accident, a rollover. He's a very strong gentleman. He taught me some things about rolling over. Like he learned from racing car drivers, you have to hold that wheel really strongly, which he did. But in so doing, his arm was stretched like this. That's my understanding.
Yeah, the airbag kind of pushed me back into the seat. I rolled the car over twice, down to 33 when I came back to school, and let's just say I was in a Mini Cooper, so it was impossible to roll over. Yeah, so let's just put it that way. Very serious accident. The car was crushed in, and I was able to get out of the car in one piece without any injury. So I know I was definitely in the miraculous of that. And my girlfriend was with me too, and she's the same thing. We 5 seconds later, we jumped out of the car.
One of the things that Chris, if you look at Chris, he's really strong. He's wiry. He's a really strong guy. I help him. I can't believe when he lifts. He's just incredible.
I still get into pain even when I lift legs, but
one of the things that he has, because I'm showing, is that it's very common with the shoulder. He's got a tender point here in the pectoral area, anterior shoulder area. And he has other tender points in the rotator cuff, which I can't even touch back here. They're way back here in the rotator cuff in the back of the shoulder. And so these two muscles are playing tug of war against each other. And it's very difficult to get better when you got opposites that are working against each other. You've got to relax both of them, not just one. So I recommended, based on my experience, I would ice this tender point here because it's superficial and it's kind of boggy and you can feel it. It's not really the muscle, it's the nerve tender point there. And then in the back of the shoulder, I recommend moist heat and a lot of stretching, reaching overhead. Because the moist heat will get some of those deep muscles that are kind of hidden out of the way in the back of the shoulder. Another problem with moist heat is you've got to have good contact. I can't overemphasize this point. Even as a therapist, it's hard for me to get good contact sometimes because if you look at the person's body, some of them are rounded this way. The back is rounded this way. It's also, they might have kyphosis. It's rounded this way. So when they lie down on the table, and I put the heating pack underneath them because I would get contact in general. I have to get them to roll onto partway onto their side. But with shoulder pain, if a lot of people are side sleepers and they're compressing the shoulder and they're wrestling all night trying to balance on this cheap mattress, If it costs a couple $1,000, it's no good. You know, they didn't bother to put expensive high-density foam in it, so there's no support. So you're going into this really soft pillow-like thing that's supposed to be comfortable, which isn't, and then you're right on top of those springs that they put in there. And it's really uncomfortable. Okay, I'm thinking about making my own mattresses.
I'll buy one right now.
Yeah. But anyway, so there's a lot of issues there. You know, posture and sleeping positions. Does anybody have any questions? You can read this. Yes.
I have a question. What's the best way, you exercise, you always get muscle soreness after your exercise?
Post-exercise soreness.
Yeah.
Okay, that's normal. It's normal if you're working out to get post-exercise soreness. Now, when I ran that 5K that felt like a 10K, and my time was slower than when I ran the 10K over 10 years ago at the same place. Because I quit running because of my arthritis. I laid around all day and stretched lightly and drank water. But when I went to work the next day, I thought, I wonder if I can do this, because my arms were tight from I refused to walk up those steep hills, if anyone knows about that trail up there in Newbury Park. So I swung my arms like this and marched really hard, pretend I was running, because I was so out of breath I couldn't run anymore. But my arms were sore the next day. So I knew what I had to do is frequently, all throughout the day, stretch those tight biceps. Stretch them out frequently. One of the keys behind stretching is, like was said, you have to do it into a little bit of tension, possibly a little bit of pain, and you've also got to do it very frequently. Most people don't stretch frequently enough to make any difference. Because it's kind of like putting your food in the oven or putting a heat pack on your back and then not stretching, okay? Because it doesn't do any good, okay? If you just do it once in a while, it's not going to do much. Because the muscle's tight and it's trying to repair right there. If you stretch it out, you're going to relax it. It'll repair in a normal position. But if you let it repair in that position, you're going to have pain. Does that make sense? So frequent stretching. I would think possibly once an hour. Once every hour, stretch. And you know what? By the third day, I had no pain, and I was back in the gym working out just as hard as ever. But if I was one of my patients, I would probably be, incapacitated right now. Because I know I'm an athlete. I know I have to stretch frequently. Okay. All right, that's probably enough. Thank you very much. You're very, very good.
Good stuff. All right, our last and final speaker is Tilly Sakai. Yay! Tilly is a registered nurse. Tilly has visited over 35 countries around the world with Share Him. She's on the Health Advisory Committee with the Southern California Conference. She is the Southern California president of the Christian Temperance Women's Union, WCTU. She also does our exercise program when we do reversing diabetes through the Southern California office. And she does our blood pressure every third Sabbath here at the church. And she is just a busy bee.
Thank you. I started the exercise class several months ago, like at the beginning of the year, only because I felt that if I needed to exercise and be active and do the things I wanted to do, then I needed to offer some of the stuff that I was learning to others. And being a senior, I would tell you that I'm 75 years old. And being a senior, I knew that there was other seniors like me that wanted to do it. So when we first started the program, I needed to do it correctly. So everyone signed a waiver because I didn't want anyone to sue me. Best of all, although I do have attorneys to protect me for that. I have a law firm that can protect me for that. But anyway, I want to do a history. Okay, what are your disabilities? Okay, and then furthermore, what are your meds? And most of all, why do you want to exercise? Why do you want to do this? I don't want you to tell me you want to lose weight. Everyone wants to lose weight. That's the whole world wants to do that. But why do you want to do it? And a lot of people said, well, I want to, and I said, for women, there's 4 areas that we're interested in. This, this, and this. I said, okay, we're gonna work on all those 4 areas. Okay, we're not going to do it with the gym. We're not gonna go to expensive equipment. We're gonna do everyday things. And you're gonna get your half hour in just doing your normal things. I told him every minute that you're at home, you're gonna make those minutes count. So what I did with my ladies, I told them, when you're sitting in your computer, you're sitting in your computer, you're sitting there for an hour, 2 hours, whatever time you're sitting on your computer, why are you not exercising? Okay, so we got this real expensive material, all these expensive equipment, all at the dollar store, okay? Okay, so we had these little soft balls for the ones that were kind of wimpy and they couldn't do a lot of exercises. And when you sit in the chair, you put the ball between your knees, right here, hold the ball, and you squeeze it. When you're on the computer, you're squeezing and you're working all those little lazy muscles between the thighs, okay? And then when you take your break and you're standing up looking at something on the internet and stuff, get your little dollar balls and you're stretching, you're working your arms like this and you're doing like this. You're still watching your computer, but you're exercising, okay? Then you put some, you think, oh, I better go warm my dinner in the microwave. Okay, don't waste that time on the microwave. You've got 2 minutes in the microwave. Oh, let's do some exercises. Come on, let's do the crossover. Let's do the crossover. Let's do the puppet. And I said, you're doing that for 2 minutes. You did that one on your legs. You did that 5 minutes. You did this 2 minutes. You're walking down the hall. Walk on your toes. Walking on your toes strengthens the ankle. Walking on your heels strengthens the back of your legs. And if you want to get more adventurous, walk down the hall and squat. Again. That works on the thighs and the back of the thighs. And I said, by the end of the day, you've done a half hour, 45 minutes. And you haven't left home yet. So if you want to get more adventurous, you can go out there and do more. But you have done it. And just simple things that you've done throughout your day. Okay? So that's what we teach. I teach in my class, you know, and we had one gentleman that came from the community, a friend of mine. Her husband has MS, and so he tried the class. And when he came to the class, there was things he couldn't do, but when he saw other people doing it, he tried. He tried doing the ball and doing stuff that normally he wouldn't do. But when he saw other people doing it, he wanted to do it, so I encouraged him to do it. So it was very helpful to him. So those are the things that you do because we learn from each other. And it's funny because when we have potluck, when we have something in the oven, you see all of our little ladies doing their exercises because they've been brainwashed by me. Not to waste that time, you know, those 3 minutes or whatever. So that's what I teach the ladies. But it's got to be fun. It's got to be fun. Because if you do something that's not fun and you don't enjoy it, then you're not going to do it. But those are all simple things that you do. And you don't need all that fancy equipment. And those are all the things that most of our ladies have done it. And a lot of my students are in here. They can verify it. They know all the names. Okay, we're going to do a puppet and all that. They know the names that I have for the different classes. And we usually do a warm-up, and we usually march. We have music, and we do the march. We march around, and then we start the warm-up, and then we usually do a cool-down, which is breathing, you know, the breathing exercises. So it's very friendly. It's usually half an hour, 40 minutes. You know, we don't do anything real drastic, you know. And I think the ladies have learned, and how I do my classes with the conference when I do it with them. You can have a group. The one I just did recently, different ones came in. The first group were older ladies. They came in and we did all the different exercises. And some of them, like, you know, were needing help. So all the same exercises that I teach the other ladies, the puppet, the crossover, you can do them in a chair. So I teach it in a chair for those that can't get up and stand, or you can do them standing up. So either way they can do them. So I always tell people, there's no excuse for exercise. It's just what you think in your head. If you can do it sitting in a chair, you can do it. If you want to do it standing, you can. but there is no excuse for not doing movement, you know. So, and then I had a group of young ladies. So then it was more challenging. I said, okay, so we're going to do different things. We're going to do push-ups. And we're not going to do it on the floor. And they're saying, well, we don't have mats, whatever. And I said, oh no, we're going to do push-ups on the wall. I said, everybody get a wall space, get about 1.5 feet away from the wall, put your hands on the wall, and we are going to do push-ups. And that's what you do. You do push-ups on the wall, and you don't need anything. You're on the wall, and so the young ladies did that. Okay? So those are all the things you can do. And then the other ones were little kids. So we had fun with the balls, throwing the balls for each other, stretching the arms, you know. So whatever group you have, you can find something for them to do that encourages them and energizes them. So, and it could be something simple, just be a ball, or it could be just a piece of towel. They can use it for stretching, you know, going from side to side. You can do it, you can do your side bends on the chair. Get your towel. When you're watching the computer, you're working this. Okay? You can do your legs up and you're working your legs. You can work your whole body by doing this. You can work, I think the one that the ladies enjoy the most is the ones working this and this, okay? So we do funny things. And I said, when you're driving in the car, don't waste that time driving in the car. Annoy the guys that are on either side of you when you're driving and do funny faces. So we do funny faces. And they laugh and have a good time. But it takes care of all the muscles around your eyes and here and your double chin. And I said, and the people next door, do you drive and they make fun of me? They're going to go to the other lane and then they think you're spastic or whatever. But I said, those are fun things that you can do. And so that's some of the things that I do in class. So, and it's you know, anyway, it's just fun. Anyway, but okay, I'll take questions later. But the one thing that I'm really, really excited about is a current class that I'm currently taking now. It's offered at the Camarillo Senior Center. It's Managing Chronic Illness. And when I first took the class, I was just like intrigued about it, you know. And there was 22 in the class, and out of the 22, there was only 4 of us that did not have a chronic illness. Wow. That was a clue to me that we need to be out there educating our neighbors and our friends. So to take the training class, you have to take the training class, which is 4 days, 4 full days, 4 8-hour days. Then we have to take it as a participant to learn how to, you know, like if you're learning about all this, then you have to teach a class. Once you do all that, then you get your certified to teach the class. And I was really interested because when people talked about the things that they had issues with, it was like sleeping. They couldn't sleep. They couldn't find moments to rest. And how they dealt with the class was, they said, okay, so you have problems relaxing, or you have problems sleeping. Would you like help with your issue? And they say, okay. So then you open it up to the group and you say, does anyone have any suggestions of how you can relax or how you can sleep? Then the whole group gives suggestions. Then we go back to the recipient and we say, is there something that we mentioned here that can help you relax or help you sleep? So then that person takes it on and they learn how to control their own health, whatever it is, their meds, their sleep, their whatever. And so they learn how to deal with their own chronic illness. And I always think it's great because you're not turning your body or your health over to a physician or pharmaceutical company that's going to give you all the pills. You're learning how to manage your own health, how to manage your own, your own care. And it's very interesting how I like the class and how everyone opened their eyes to being able to do things for themselves. And also there was a lot of support of each other. Each of us learned from each other, so that was a good class. So I'm looking forward to teaching the class when I get to that part of it. So I will be offering the class. So if you see me out there offering that class, if you want to be one of my guinea pigs, I would really be honored. So, do I have any questions?
Can you make some funny things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
adults that are here know the funny faces that we do, you know. You want to learn. Well, when I teach funny faces, I always tell people that the one that works the best on this part here is when you get your lower jaw and you try to bite your upper lip.
That would scare me if I was in a car.
Okay, you feel that muscle? Okay, now we're going to do it the other way. We're going to get the upper jaw and try to bite the lower lip.
I would think so.
That's harder. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to open our mouth wide and our eyes wide.
That's for you.
Now, do you feel all this going around here? Okay. Then another one, you do a funny face, like a food face. You puff your lips, you squeeze your eyes, okay? You're getting off. Now, you notice that you work all the muscles around your eyes for that one. And so when they do plastic surgery, that's when they pull this skin. Well, you don't have to do that. You can do it with your facial exercise. You can do that when you're watching the computer too, not only when you're driving. But it's very effective when you're driving. You're doing all this, and you're driving, people look at you and they go, and they do stay away from you. Okay. So those are some of the ones the exercises I do. Any other questions? Yes.
But when you're exercising at home, how much longer to earn a half hour of exercise time? You need more than a half hour broken up in 5-minute segments?
I don't count the time, I just do it.
Well, okay.
I mean, if you're going to count the time, forget it. I mean, you know, that's the issue is just to get your exercise in. You know, just to get the activity in. You know, and it's just, you might do it, you know, one day you might do 45 minutes, the next day you might do 25 minutes, just the fact to keep the body active and keep the movement going. That's all that's what we're trying to do, is get people to be active and get all their activities they do throughout the day. Just be active and be doing something, you know. Not timing yourself to get your half hour. But that's the basic, then forget it, you know. And you're just trying to utilize the normal activities you do each day to use it to your benefit. Yeah. Okay, any other questions?
Which lane we should be driving our car? Close our eyes.
Close your eyes. No, you don't need to close your eyes. Yeah. That's why I say you make big eyes or you make crude face. I didn't say you close your eyes. You don't close your eyes when you drive. No. But there's all these different exercises you can do. But I mean, try it. Walking down the hall when you go from like the bedroom to the kitchen. Try walking on your toes. You know, and you're straightening the ankle. And then when you walk back, try walking on your heels. And if you're weak in your balance, there's always a hallway. You can always guide yourself down the hallway. But it strengthens the back of your legs and it strengthens your ankles. And that's where people are weakest because of the balance. Another one too is when you're brushing your teeth, if you have a little balance issue, brush your teeth and with one leg up and then the other leg. And then you brush your teeth in the morning with one leg up and night brush with the other leg. And eventually, you know, your legs will get stronger. So those are little simple things that you can do. It's just really simple. Yeah. 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 So those are all just very basic stuff that you do, you know. Yeah.
Dora said a question.
Well, I was wondering, if you have a chronic or a medical illness or illness, you want to also learn to monitor how you exercise, because you want to have a good day. You don't want to do something and then the rest of the day is downhill.
Right.
So you want to make sure you pace yourself.
Right.
And when you pace yourself, your day will be well.
And that's what I meant. You're not keeping track on your exercise. I mean, if you can't stand and exercise, you can sit and do the exercise. You can sit and do it. If that's not a good day for you, you can sit and do the same exercise. Sit, you know. On the computer, when you're sitting at the computer, you can still do your heels and your toes. Go up on your toes, and then go up on your heels. You can do the same thing. Either way, it doesn't matter. You can do it both ways. So you can do it, and so if it's a bad day, and you can't stand a lot, you can still do it while you're sitting in your chair. So those are all simple things that you can do, whatever your tolerance is for that day, you know. So it's just, if that's, you know, if you're able, and sometimes people think I can't do it. Okay, any other questions or comments, or I showed you all my facial things. I think they're the children.
We want to thank you for coming. This is all that we have. We hope that we can do this again the next time at maybe one of your churches will host us. I learned a lot today. This was fun. Thank you for coming.